Hey, bro, did you find that cord yet? What cord? Discord? Yo, what's going on, my VVOGs, my Omi homies, and everybody else on YouTube? It's your bromy, the Gale, back at it again with another VV Discord Q&A. So, right before the Marvel's Mighties drop last week, there was a Q&A in the VV Discord channel, and most of you probably missed it. And so, like I usually like to do, is I took a 2 hour and something conversation and shortened it down to like an hour of the best questions. So that's what this video is going to be: back to back questions and answers of the most interesting variety. And yeah, so that's how I'm so knowledgeable, or at least I think I am, about VV. Like, I listen to these discussions and I rewatch them, just 2 times. But yeah, this is where all the gems are. This is where all the interesting questions are. You're gonna get answers that you never thought to question, and you're gonna get, information that can be useful, especially being an investor. So yeah, if that's what you're into, then this is the video for you. And it's kind of long, so if you can increase the speed, if your brain can handle it, watch it on 1.5x speed. I think it might be even smoother, a smoother listen for you. But do what you want. Anyway, without further ado, let's just breeze into it.
Y'all take like the first 40 sometimes, or the first 90. Would there ever be a chance maybe that I know y'all would probably always take the first one, but that maybe we can get 2 through 41, and then the ones that y'all take will be 41 to 80 in the first one. So number 1 and then 41 through 80. Is there a way that we can maybe get the earlier ones, or is that a certain reason why it's like that?
Yeah, so those early ones, we have just put a blanket allocation on them from the very start. Now, all the number ones go into a big VV showroom at some point. Safe to assume it will be somewhere in the VV verse. The majority of the rest of them go to the licensors. They'll give some to the artists, depending on their deals and whatever happens there. I'm sure Dan and David, keep a couple that they enjoy. I think we'll occasionally see a number 40 enter circulation, because we have kept some of that allocation for giveaways, promotions, charity events in the future, that kind of thing. But generally speaking, I mean, if you manage to get your hands on something that's 40 or below, it's not going to be an easy task, and they'll be pretty rare to enter circulation. The other 50 that kind of gets taken from every drop came in maybe 2 months ago, 2 and a bit months ago, and they're the ones that we use for all of these community giveaways and promotions and things. There's a new giveaway happening on Twitter every week these days. Alex, I think you and Noah have been working towards some more community giveaways on the VV side too. Is that right?
Yeah, we're looking at a few different platforms to kind of make it all easy to enter and receive and track, and that way it's all on the up and up, and there are no questions about entries and etc. So yeah, we're looking at a few things.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, those other ones will become available in those giveaways. They're completely randomized, the remainder that are taken for that kind of initiative. So they're not sort of 41 to 90 or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and we just use it for that. So to answer your question, I mean, you may see some in circulation eventually, but good luck getting your hands on them.
So has there been any discussions on allowing the blind boxes to be, I guess, unopenable, if that's even a word? You can just trade or sell them without having to open them.
Keep them sealed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've spoken about it. We're not there yet with the tech, but I personally think that would be pretty awesome, and have some of these, you see it with, and I hate to say this word, but you see it with Pokemon cards and unboxing.
Confirmed.
Yeah, and people rip them open years after the fact, and the excitement is there. So I think it would be a really cool feature to be able to sell these things around.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's definitely on the agenda, but I don't know what it takes from it.
One really interesting, I guess, advantage of the NFT blind boxes is, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Pokemon cards, a lot of people would weigh the packs because the holo foils would be slightly heavier. So this whole like industry became kind of corrupted. Like people were selling weighted packs on eBay, but you won't get that kind of fear of having a weighted NFT because you can't really weigh them. So the chance of having an ultra rare hasn't been drastically reduced.
Yeah.
So I just think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would like to see, maybe that could feed into the master collector at some point. Like someone mentioned, the higher your ranking, maybe you just have a slightly higher chance of getting a more rare card. Or, we obviously talk about access to, maybe not individual sales, but access to more exclusive content depending on what you collect or what level. But I think that would be cool too, if you got some sort of blind box opening random chance advantage as well. We'll see where that goes.
So we saw Spider-Man burn over 1 billion tokens, and when you guys start increasing the additions to fit the user base, you guys are going to start burning billions and billions more tokens. It's just going to increase over time. What happens when the token starts to reach like the full burns? Like what does that mean for the token? Can the token be fractioned or halved when we start coming to the end of them?
Yeah. So all crypto tokens can be divided to 16 decimals, I think is the standard. So you kind of have almost these infinite divisions, which I guess maintains liquidity in any sort of circumstance. But this is how the system's been designed, right? We've always been working towards more drops more regularly. Obviously, the bigger the user base, the drop sizes will increase, collectible dependent, right? We won't go too crazy, but that will take place. So yeah, we're definitely expecting to be burning more tokens the bigger this grows. Now that will be balanced by, and this is not in any way financial advice, but as the token scarcity increases, presumably so does the value of the token, which will offset some of that burn, right? It's obviously if we're burning whatever the token price is today, 0.003 or whatever.
Right.
If we go back to 1 cent, well, then we're burning 3 times less than what we're burning today, right? So that scarcity will balance things out. The growing user base will balance out the increase in price, presumably, of course. But yeah, every token can be divided into 16 decimals. So if the token supply, when it starts to get low, presumably it will be balanced by the number of people and maintain that liquidity in the reserve. Then we also have the buybacks that are designed to top that up. And then once we can add the new utilities, once we are over on Immutable, we start burning more tokens from the circulating supply as well, from the open market supply, which again, in theory, pushes up the price, which again balances out the burn. So yeah, I think the number of tokens in there is going to see us maintain liquidity for longer than any of us are probably on this earth. But it's definitely designed to make that happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. And look, I'll just address the buybacks too, because I know people are asking me about it. I see it on a lot of things. Guys, it's back on David Yu's desk. He's told me he's prioritizing it. We do tread carefully between, the OMI token is a utility token, always has been. In these instances, there's some legal gray areas where you have to be very careful you're not walking into the security line. But he's on top of it, and he'll get back to me as soon as he's ready for the next round. So I know it's not the exact answer people are hoping for. I can't just say it will start again on this date or anything like that. But it's back on his priority list, and I'll get back to you when I have more on it, basically.
How will cashing out in the app work when MTL arrives?
Yep, great question. So when it rolls out, I think it's safe to assume it will roll out in a limited capacity to start. Just same as anything, if you're testing it on a live app, you don't want to be exposing anything untoward. But basically, you'll have an option to toggle it on and off, essentially. I am going to assume it will be in your profile section in the app, and you will need to go through a KYC AML process. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, know your customer regulations or anti-money laundering regulations are a very standard thing with any business that deals with financial assets. So the same way when you sign up to an exchange or anything like that, you'll need to provide some sort of proof of identity. I'm assuming there will be like a basic verification and then a more advanced, and that might be something that is more open to certain tier of master collector. But basically, you'll toggle it on, you'll pass the KYC, and then you'll be able to basically sell your gems, I guess, or withdraw that value in gems back to your bank account. I'm pretty sure it's to a bank account. It's not to a spending card or anything like that. But in a nutshell, that's how it will work.
Crypto Crowns from YouTube stream says, for the sky travel outside of the vault, will it be disabled like with the new vault implementation? Also, he says, will in-vault collectible oversized scaling be disabled?
Oversized scaling shouldn't be disabled. Traveling outside the vault was a bug, not a feature. So that is being fixed, I will call it. However, as far as, and I don't want to get too far into the specifics because this is leaning more into systems and kind of the tech. For people who place those assets out there, and they want to, if they move it to the new showroom and they want to get it out effectively and move them around, there's like ways to do that as well as like, right, I think for keeping the old showroom to some degree, which I'm personally not the biggest fan of because the new showroom looks so much better. But that's there will be ways to address that for people who like build stuff out in the skybox.
I just had a kind of like a idea / question. So in Unity, so when I was playing around with it a couple of years ago, there's something called IBM Watson's speech recognition API, and basically what I did was I built a AR model which responded to voice commands. So it gave me the idea of, if you had hypothetically like a Star Wars stormtrooper, it would recognize phrases. So you could say execute order 66 and the AR model would kind of, do what it does and start shooting. I was wondering if it had been discussed or thought about of introducing NFTs in the future, which may implement additional kind of gesture recognition, such as speech, because I know that's possible with Unity. So I wouldn't think that's outside the realms of something Veve could do.
It's a cool idea. It's depends what we want to have it do. I mean, ultimately, you're trying to. This wouldn't be a tool we build. There's obviously APIs and stuff that we could tap into to do like voice command stuff like that. Something like pterodactyl, like when you call your pterodactyl and tell it to come here, it basically having it take off and fly to you wherever the phone is a lot simpler to do than, hey, random whatever Star Wars character, can you execute order 66 and then have it go around and kill everything in the showroom? Which, while it sounds cool, again, we're out here just, oh my god, the scope.
Even I love that idea though, being able to call to your pterodactyl and have it fly to you. I'm in. Put it on the list, Trevor.
All right.
Let's go.
As long as you're paying for it, that's fine.
Yeah. By me, I mean Dan. But yes, I approve all spending.
And to clarify, by paying for it, I'm
Veve,
speaking
yeah.
specifically about paying for the development, because this is some expensive as shit features you guys are recommending.
Okay. Oh, well, that's fine. We can do it. Where there's a will, there's a way.
There's so much in the work between Veveverse, Master Collector. God, I mean, there's just so much. Is there anything that you're most excited for? What's the thing that gets you most excited about the possibilities just through this platform in general?
Trevor, you want to take that?
I was hoping you could go first. For me, I will say there's like, for me at the like basic level, a lot of the content we have coming is really exciting. I love every time I see a new model comes in and everything just looks better than what came before, across all the IPs, not just like announced, unannounced stuff that we've like been talking about actively, stuff we haven't talked about in a while. There's just a lot of really cool stuff there. I don't want to go too far into it or open like a big can of worms around it. And I kind of talked about this a bit with Cavell yesterday, which is like the opportunities for interactivity, gamification, and gaming itself, while I still think is pretty far out, not just for Veve, but honestly, like across NFTs and the larger gaming space in general, that stuff is really exciting to me. A lot of problems that need to be solved there, but I think that's something that I'm particularly interested in and like exploring on my own as well.
Nice. I think for me, one of the most exciting things is the reach of this. Like, obviously our scope and vision and the roadmap and the plans and all of those things feed into that. But I mean, we've already seen the kind of impact that this sort of product or this focal point can have on communities, you know, and on bringing people together and on that shared experience. And you know, we're very blessed that, you know, the NFT hype and industry really followed the crypto hype and industry, and it exists in a lot of pockets all around the world. So from a product standpoint, that's helped us to penetrate a lot of different marketplaces, but it's also created these bubbles of community in those places. And when you see things like, you know, we're in the top ranking entertainment apps in the App Store, but, you know, the world over, not just in the US or Australia or things like that. I mean, I think that's really exemplifying the fact that our reach has really grown across the world. And I'm just really excited to see how that develops. You know, this AMA, all of the conversations we all have on a weekly basis is truly testament to how the community's developed so far. But yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, like you said, there's some different areas you can reach, and right now it seems we're only really in like the, you know, like the movie space and the character space. Second question, kind of leading into that. I mean, could you guys ever see the potential of like an album dropping on Veve? You know, I'm basically, every time Kanye delays Donda, I keep telling myself he wants to figure out all the kinks to drop it on Veve. So like, could something like that ever happen?
Yeah, I think definitely. Whether it's, you know, I think this kind of dives more into the metaverse style thing. You know, I've seen David, you mentioned that we would eventually have like concerts in the metaverse, right? And we've seen that in Decentraland and a few things in the last 12 months. That's already taking place. I really do think a lot of our physical existence will move into digital spaces. And I mean, the same way that Veve can distribute collectibles, I mean, it's an incredible distribution mechanism for any sort of intellectual property, be it an album or artwork or something else. So yeah, I can see it happening. I feel like, yeah, it might be more of a Spotify thing at this point, but I'd love to see it happen in the NFT space a little more.
Yeah, I would have to imagine that with musicians and dropping albums, I would think that their compensation more beneficial to them in the NFT space. I feel like maybe the royalties could be higher on the constant buying and trading of the album as opposed to just the royalties.
Agreed. There are some really great projects out there that are kind of tackling this. I don't know if you guys have seen Audius before, but they're kind of building a Spotify for the crypto world and paying better royalties. There are some projects that are offering albums, and you know, if you own you can have a fractionalized ownership over that album or that record, and then earn ongoing royalties from people playing it, that kind of thing. So there's definitely people and projects exploring it. As to how it crosses over for us, we'll have to wait and see.
Do you think that other licensors are taking note of like how the fact that Marvel was able to have like a extra 6%? Like, does DC see that and say, well, why don't we have a 6%? That fee increasing for other licensors as time rolls on in Veve?
I have no doubt that they're looking at it now and wondering why they didn't go for the same thing. As to how that develops, yeah, we're going to have to wait and see what sort of deals David and Dan have struck up and can continue to maintain.
Yeah, I mean, and personally, I want to be upset about the 8% fee on the user side because the collectibles appreciate so much almost immediately anyway. So on our end, I see no harm, no foul with increasing the fee just a little bit.
Yeah, and look, I mean, if that's what it's going to take to get more and more of the world's biggest brands on board, then you know it will be a consideration at the time.
Exactly. Cool. Thanks for answering all my questions, guys.
Split Sniper 7 in the YouTube stream says, Can someone explain what seasons mean in terms of the NFTs and how long each season is?
Yep. So each season is 6 months long, or thereabouts. It really came around. It wasn't when we first launched. We didn't really have that as a part of the puzzle, but you never really go into these things knowing everything. It was probably around 4, maybe 5 months in that the buyer exhaustion started to become quite apparent. Obviously we're always talking to people in the community, and I mean, we were tired, but everybody was kind of tired, and it just became a really great way to differentiate between, these were released, the very first ones, right? And you see it in games all the time, and I guess you see it in the industry too, right? You get these kind of early exclusive editions and that kind of thing. So that was the logic behind it, just to help separate and differentiate things a little more. And yeah, they're roughly in 6 month increments.
So with the Mighties, kind of let down with, the 5 different first appearances we have here. Down the line, can we see a, quote unquote Falcon instead of a Sam Wilson and have that be a first appearance?
Yeah, I think so, because it depends on the definition of the character, is my sort of assumption. Alex, do you have a bit more insight into how that's kind of taking place now?
I think that's more of a Dan and Dave question, but I don't see why, if Falcon as Falcon and not Sam Wilson as Captain America appeared, that it wouldn't be a first appearance of Falcon. I mean, that makes sense to me, but then again, I don't know, to be honest with you. And that's honestly up to Marvel and Dan and David to make that decision.
Yeah, that's kind of where I stand on it too. I just smile and go with what they say.
Sure. So with that being said, when Alex said obviously a Falcon would be a Falcon, so why isn't one of these labeled as a Captain America, since we got kind of like 4 of them?
They're all labeled as their persona. Is that right?
No, they're all Captain
name.
America. It's a Captain America series, and to differentiate them, because they've each donned the mantle, or donned the title of Captain America.
But none of them say first appearance Captain America.
But they're all first appearance of those characters as Captain America. So maybe that's just some confusion. Each one. So Steve Rogers as Captain America is the first appearance of Steve Rogers as Captain America. Sam Wilson as Captain America is the first appearance of Sam Wilson as Captain America, and so on.
Right. Go for it.
I'm sorry. Does that answer your question? I think that's the way. I think that's what you asked. I'm sorry if I'm not answering the question.
No, that's all right. If Granola wants to continue with that, and then we'll come back to it.
Somebody trying to talk?
Sorry, we're getting a bit of.
I was just going to say, yeah, Robins are kind of the same situation where you have multiple different characters as Robin, but they're all their own individual first appearances in their own respects. So I think it's kind of like the same situation there.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So to come back to the original question, could we see a Captain America just as Captain America as a first appearance character? I mean, that makes sense to me in this instance, as these are all individual representations of people as the character. But as we said, that's a Dan, Dave, Marvel, somebody more important than me to decide question.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I was just going to add to what Alex was saying, just to put it in another clearer term. There's hero classifications and there's character classifications. When a character has a secret persona, they have 2 identities in comics and collectibles and everything. They have, like, for example, Captain America is Steve Rogers. He's also Captain America. So this is the first appearance of Steve Rogers, not Captain America. He is dressed like Captain America, so it's a little confusing, but that's how that works.
But do you know that for sure?
See...
I mean, I appreciate the context from the comic world, but I think we're going to have to ask for clarification from Marvel on that, because the way I'm thinking about it, the way I'm thinking about it is that Steve Rogers is appearing as Captain America, so they're one and the same, and that would mean that it's the first appearance for both, in theory. So if Winter Soldier, for instance, Bucky Barnes appears later as Winter Soldier and not Captain America, then that would be a first appearance of Bucky Barnes as Winter Soldier.
So then the confusion in this case just comes from the fact that it's Sam Wilson. It's Bucky Barnes. It's not Bucky Barnes as Captain America. It's not Sam Wilson as Captain America.
So yes, well, I would refute that actually. In the article, the series name is Season 1 Captain America Marvel Mighties. So they're all Captain America.
Okay, gotcha. So it's under the series title then.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
And I think, and if you didn't see that in the graphic assets that we put out on social, for instance, it's probably just a matter of space. But they're all.
I think that's what it was.
They're mostly all the persona as the character.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I think I was just expecting maybe as a Falcon without the cap. I think the Captain America colors or the suit on each individual character is causing a question there. So then down the line, can we see this again with Iron Man or Hulk? Since there's a totally awesome Hulk and She-Hulk, or can we see that as Iron Man, Ironheart, War Machine type of thing?
Yeah, I would assume so. If they're all individual.
Yeah, I mean those are all distinct characters, right? So so each, in theory, would be their respective first appearances.
Yeah, but totally awesome Hulk or She-Hulk would count as a Hulk, and I'm trying to compare it to how you're explaining this Captain America situation.
Yeah. No, I think they would be their individual characters. So same as this, I feel like we've all kind of gone in circles and talked the same point right now. But yeah, these are the first appearance Bucky Barnes or the first appearance Sam Wilson or whatever as Captain America, right? So in the future, we could see a first appearance Captain America of a different persona or a different a different kind of character. And so when it comes to Hulk, She-Hulk, those kind of things, I guess it just depends on who is identifying them, and are they a new character? Where is that character coming from? Is it a comic? Is it from the film? That kind of thing. But look, for now, let's just agree to get Dan on to explain this better to everybody.
Cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I really like how Alex explained it, how it's titled under the series. That makes perfect sense to me, actually.
Perfect. I'm glad someone got sense out of that.
Okay, nice. The second question is a bit more complex. It's regarding a specific situation that is occurring right now on Telegram. As you might know, there are some escrow groups on Telegrams to allow users to cash out and cash in some gems and USDT and so on. And we have saw recently a wave of newcomers with a lot of gems, but obviously that these gems were money laundering on stolen cards that's been cashed in Apple Store app and Play Store app. And the big concern of the user that are buying this kind of gems to this specific user is really simple. Would they have any risk to get these kind of gems, store them into their accounts without knowing that it was on a stolen card before?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just going to blanket say this. We say it every week. I mean, we don't support anything that takes place off the app. We can't support any sort of external gem transaction, any of those things. If those transactions are happening regularly and it becomes, they're the sort of things that can get flagged in our system as potentially fraudulent. And yeah, there's always a risk that you may not lose access to your account or those things, but it may be disabled for a while it's investigated. So we certainly don't We don't promote it. We don't condone it. We don't support it. Any chance or risk you take outside of that is up to you.
One other question is regarding the brands. We know that a lot of us are waiting for the move to Immutable and being able to sell or resell our items on OpenSea and so on. What is the share of brands that, in your opinion, will allow items to be sold on other platforms versus those who would like to keep it into Veve for now?
I think, and this is my personal opinion, I think that the whole industry is going to move to this much more open and interoperable system. So eventually, in a few years' time, I would like to see all of them taking place. In the immediate short term, it all comes down to the licensor. It comes down to how they're willing to let us use their IP. Do they understand these kind of platforms? Is it an easy transition? Now, that's what we do, right? We really handhold licensors through this process, or we have up until this point. And now, most of them really understand what's taking place. Just in conversations, some of the Clubhouse chats we've had with Frank Kozik and Jermaine Rogers and people like that, they're much more fluid in the way they can operate. One, they already use OpenSea. They're already very familiar with it. And two, they represent themselves. So they can be much more accommodating much more quickly than a bigger brand that would have, huge legal teams and pages and pages of contractual obligations. So, look, I think to start with, the more fluid creators are probably going to be the first ones to enable it. And moving forward, I would hope that the bigger brands take up the mantle as well.
Okay, so you are not able for now, for example, on 50 brands, just to let us know, like 40 are okay to move to another NFT platform, or like 10 or whatever.
No, I don't have those numbers or figures just yet. I think it will be more of the conversation once the migration has taken place.
Do you guys plan on having any particular avenue that you guys can reach out to, let's say it's content creators or directly in the Discord, that will help Ecomi as a team with whatever you guys are looking for? I did speak with Alex last week on Clubhouse or something. He said that everything that we've been doing as a community is great, but a lot of content creators want to help you guys move forward the best as possible. So if there's anything that we can do to help you to answer any questions or anything, is that something?
Yeah, absolutely. We alluded a few weeks ago to an ambassador program, which is still in the works. I apologize on the delays on that front. And that's definitely the intention of that, right? It's so that we can continue to work closely with the people who are out there and creating content and videos and things about us. Obviously, there will be some sort of reward mechanism there, just so that we can say thank you to people for going so far above and beyond what people need to. So, yep, it's definitely in the works. It's likely to be a little way off yet, just so we can get a few more ducks in a row. But it's definitely the intention. I want to continue working as closely with you guys as we can. I mean, one, because we're building it for you, right? I mean, that's what our experience is based on. But two, there is no better feedback mechanism. We know when we've hit the nail on the head, and we know when things haven't landed we thought they would. So, yeah, we definitely want to continue to implement those processes too.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. That actually led right into my next question about the ambassador program. Listen, we understand there's no rush. When patience, #soon. But
yeah,
is there any particular way or best route to get into the ambassador program or the beta tester program? Shout out to Noah.
Yes. I will post my OMI address in the voice chat and just send me a bribe, and I will put you in the list.
A secret.
Look, it's been sent.
That's it. Anyone that actually wants to get involved, I mean, it's more a matter of go out and do it, right? Like we are quite across the people that are creating content. I mean, it's hard to miss. Anything that stands out comes across my desk anyway. And over time, I mean, I really think I've gotten to know quite a lot of you, let alone sort of recognize the content and the energy and effort that everyone is going to bring this to new people. So, look, I think if anyone's considering it or you're sitting on the fence, just get out there and start something. Have some fun with it. I mean, this is the most supportive community you can be a part of. And typically, if that is the place you're doing this kind of thing from, if it's because you really enjoy it and want to have fun with it, that really resonates. It resonates with other people in the community. It resonates with us. You're the kind of people that we want contributing. So that would be my advice on that front.
As far as when the Immutable chain migration happens, will the
We just lost you there, Matt. Do you want to just start that again?
Oh, sorry. So after the Immutable swap, will OMI to NFT be like implemented immediately after, or still a few weeks after?
Still a few weeks after. The migration itself will take a little while. It's going to take us a while to get all the content out, make sure everybody knows what's going on, all of that kind of thing. Once we're across, then the devs need to work with the new contracts, I guess, and the new system to then build in the OMI to NFT. That's why it got pushed to behind the migration. We're at a point where we could spend the 6 or 8 weeks, whatever it was going to take to build it for GoChain. And then as soon as we migrated, we were going to have to rebuild it anyway. So Michael, our CTO, just said that was the better order of things. So it will still be a bit of a delay once the whole migration has taken place, but that'll be the next development on the list. And between then, I think we're going to try and add some other utilities to the token to at least get that velocity going. If they're smaller or easier developments, but don't quote me on that just yet. We'll find out a bit closer to.
How about if there's like VIP places in the Veveverse that you can't get into without certain NFTs?
Yeah, without certain NFTs, without a certain master collector level. Once that is implemented, we really have a lot more ways to reward users, to identify users, to create those more exclusive experiences. Obviously, to motivate people to want to rank up, right? You need to make sure the incentive mechanisms are strong enough for people to hold their collectibles, for people to want to participate in these community events. And same as everything we do, it will be an iterative process. We'll continue to build that system out as it becomes more robust and as the user base grows. But yeah, I can't wait for that to actually hit the platform. I mean, it's just going to change the game.
Yeah, man. Me personally, no pressure, but the Master Collector program is the most important thing to me as a collector. I want to know so bad.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I'll see. Like I mentioned, I'll see if we can kind of put out a more a less vague outline of what we're doing with it, because I know you guys are getting sick of hearing me say I can't reveal things every week.
Would there be a possibility where we would have a feature in the app, specifically in the vaults, where someone, specifically like a user, can put an NFT that they don't own in their vault just for a few moments, just to see how it looks like in their vault, and like maybe it could help them figure out if it fits perfectly in their vault and they might consider buying it? It was basically like entering a mode where an imagination vault, and then when they leave the vault, it goes back to normal.
Yeah, like a try before you buy type thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's possible. I don't know what it takes from a development standpoint. We've definitely talked about the possibility of leasing your collectibles to other people. So I guess if that's possible, I don't see why dropping one in your vault couldn't be. But I will find out from the people who actually build these things before I commit to that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. Do you have any more questions while you're up here?
No, I'm all right. Thank you.
No worries.
All right. So, last question that I have for you guys. I'm trying to just keep it nice and sweet and simple. when you guys decide to roll out the games in the showroom, like whether it be pinball or Street Fighter or whatever the case may be, will it be a limited edition run similar to our normal drops, like 20,000 editions or 30,000 editions? And if so, is that how you guys see some income being made in the future in the VV-verse or whatever the case may be? Like, let's say I have a game arcade with all of the games that you guys have released so far, and then I charge an entry fee.
That's a really good question. I mean, I know Trevor's probably more on the development side of what we will be looking to offer in showrooms like that. I guess it depends on the item, right? Like, to take your example as a pinball machine, unless it's a branded pinball machine, I know they were a thing back in the day. I think it's more likely that you want to try and open those experiences to more people, and the benefit or the rarity might be like, if you play it 7 days in a row, you have access to some other kind of collectible or some other incentive in the platform, rather than the item itself having its own rarity. But I mean, this is a collectibles platform. Like, I don't see why that couldn't be a thing as well.
Sometimes I don't think Wales will be kind of the only place that experiences this, but you can go like to the top of the mountain and then find out that you've got no internet, and the HQ that you loaded to take the pictures you can't actually take anymore because you're stuck on a loading screen. Is there kind of a way in the future where if you download the collectible you can then use it in AR without the internet, or is that something that can't be done?
That is a very good question. I have a feeling the AR has something to do with your phone's location as well as the camera capabilities. Does anyone, Kay, have you got any software development insight on that front?
Yeah. I was actually going to ask that question on behalf of Claire. She's managed to do it. So basically the way it works is, as of now, so there's an API, and essentially it's linked to your user account, and when it pulls in your user account data, it looks at which collectibles are currently associated with your account. So in order for you to render an asset, you need to essentially have that collectible owned by your account, and there's no way for you to the app to check that if you're not connected to the internet, because you have to be connected to the internet to validate your account. So I was thinking about that, and there are a couple of ways. You would need a way to kind of cache your collectible history some way, so that you can access it offline. But obviously, I mean, there are platforms that currently do something like that, but every 24 hours, I think you have to re-authenticate yourself, because obviously it doesn't make sense for you to have sold your collectibles, but still have them kind of cached for your own viewing. So every 24 hours, it forces you to refresh it. So Veve might have to implement something like that, where you log in and your collectible history is kind of cached for offline use. And then 24 hours later, it forces you to log in again and then recheck which collectibles you have, which then allows you to access them offline. It would have to be some kind of caching system.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a ton of sense. I'm glad we have you here, because I would have mumbled my way through that. Does that answer your question, Claire? Or give you some more insight there?
At least you're honest about it.
It's just, I know sometimes I can load the character when I know I'm going into a bad sort of internet area, but if the app closes on you or does something, then you can't reload. But even if you just had access for 2 hours, it would help solve the problem.
Well, at least you get a good walk out of it, Claire. You know. This is from our friend Orange Bag Lady, and she does have a question for you. So she's always asking folks, I'm going to read this in her words, always asking folks what they were into before Veve came to life. So she wants to know, when you first started drawing, was it old school pencil and paper when you were a wee one, or was it digital first? And what were the first things you sort of created or drew?
Me personally, I'm not a fine artist like that. To be honest, my background is in production. Actually, I started more in the design side of things. I guess more in the graphic design kind of stuff. So I would say digital, because I was like, I learned like the first like creative tools I ever really properly learned how to use were like Illustrator and Photoshop. So that's kind of where I came, how I came about it.
Perfect. And all right, in that same vein, in the digital space, or what were the first things you would design? Did you start as a lowly graphic designer? What's going on here?
Well, I wouldn't call graphic designers lowly, but yeah, I started with that. I guess like doing like logos, typography, that kind of stuff. I will say, and then game design stuff. I started with really the first like any sort of like programming or like visual, like applying code to create something visual on a screen. There's this amazing tool called processing that was developed by MIT. That's a really good way to learn how to code at a simple level and see the results like very in a fun visual way. That's kind of where I started. And then I pretty quickly started moving into Unity. Unity has obviously the strong, like the programming element of it. That's what you need to build games, but there's also a lot of cool visual stuff in there. And as I played around with Unity, that's where I learned about a lot of the like more tech arty kind of stuff. I'm honestly more interested and excited by like technical art stuff than like fine art stuff, just because of like what I've been exposed to. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, always good to get a little insight there. Thank you, Trev.
I know when somebody had brought up earlier about, obviously, you guys don't support any off-app activity for trading and escrow and things like that. It can seem kind of challenging sometimes. I know there's some folks on social media who'll tag Veve or certain, employees in different posts, and then on different posts kind of advocate for kind of that off-app trading. So I was wondering if there's anything you guys have in place to kind of steer away, just because obviously it doesn't kind of shed a good light, and it kind of puts you guys in a bad spot if they take someone else's advice and maybe things don't work out for them. They kind of feel, like they got the short end of the stick. So I know it's kind of a tricky one to navigate because people can say whatever they want on social media, but just wondering if that's kind of come up at all for you guys.
Yeah, it is definitely tricky to navigate. People tag all of us, all of our accounts in every post they make all day long. And for the most part, we're trying to be, it comes down to our own awareness at the time as to, if we're going to retweet something or comment on something. So, I think we're all quite conscious of that and the flow-on effects of if we make a mistake, if we're tired, happen to retweet something that, is from an account that promotes something off the app or things like that. So look, it's really a case by case. We try to tread very lightly when it comes to those things, and all maintain the fact that we don't support those kind of things off the app. So at the moment, it's more of a public awareness thing. And look, just so people understand, it's not that we're trying to it's for people's own protection more than anything, right? There's too many scams that take place out there. I see too many impersonation accounts, even of people in our community, on the app, off the app, on Facebook. I've seen entire Facebook profiles copied word for word, and they impersonate admins of escrow groups, you name it. I see it every week. So that advice is really it's the easiest way for us to try and look out for everybody all at once. It's up to you if you take it. Obviously, we're trying to build in ways to completely remove that necessity or those risks, with the MTL and those things. But and we're close, right? We're really close to a lot of those developments. So it's up to you if you want to take that risk, but we can't support it in any capacity. And if you see anything that looks even slightly suggestive that we are, it's likely that we are tired and you caught us on a bad day.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, the community is doing a good job looking out for everybody, and just thank you for what you guys are doing. It's very exciting, and thanks for having me up.
No worries at all, and I'll second that wholeheartedly. Big thanks to everybody in the community that that helps make us aware of where there might be holes in the system or people trying to take advantage of other people. The more we work together on these things, the easier it is to cut them out. So we really appreciate it.
My question was in regards to the OMI token. I know we're waiting for very eagerly for the Immutable X migration, and you guys have, and it's coming soon. We know that, but there's also like the OKEx listing that just happened recently. So I was kind of curious. Once you guys mentioned that you're migrating to Immutable X, I just assumed, and this is also something that I heard from a lot of YouTubers, that basically at this point it just meant that we were going to wait until the Immutable migration was going to happen, and then the exchanges would come in afterwards. Now, so this OKEx listing was kind of a surprise. So I was just wondering, could this mean that the Immutable X is done? It just had not been announced, maybe, or
no, not quite. No, we've for the whole year, for as long as this has all kind of been going, we've been working towards new exchange listings. Now, the way that happens, obviously you go through all of the due diligence. They need all your records and financials, and you strike a deal, and then you go into the queue, and it's really a matter of wherever you are in that queue or whenever that listing is ready, that it goes live. So the Immutable one was great. The OKEx one, so good to have it hit. Obviously, second largest exchange in the world on trading volume, so really big listing there. And if anything, and this isn't confirmation because I don't know, but typically when there's a migration like this, the exchanges will also help you facilitate it. So the ones I've been a part of in the past, like there will be a 3-day window, say, where they freeze any balances in the account, they do the migration for you, and then they reactivate it. Now, I don't know if OKEx or Bit4X or these exchanges will participate in that yet, but hopefully they do, because it makes everybody's life easier if they're using the exchange. So no, the migration as of last week was, I think, 90% of the way through for the development side, is now undergoing heavy testing, which will take as long as it takes, but presumably a couple of weeks at least. And then we'll be pretty ready to move across. Now, I've said this a few times, and I'll keep sort of mentioning it to people. The one caveat to that is that Michael, our CTO, is about to have his first baby. So big shout out and congratulations, Michael. But that may throw a little delay in the works for a week or something as we navigate that. So it may have happened now, actually, or she's due in the next week or something like that. So just something to be aware of. Now, it's entirely possible that another exchange may hit before then. We're really not. It just depends where we are in that queue. And otherwise, as we've kind of mentioned and alluded to, it's much easier to acquire a listing when you're already ERC20, because you don't need to convince an exchange to implement an entirely new protocol or chain. So there'll be more post-migration too.
Okay, but basically, listing through the Go blockchain and then migrating to the Immutable X one via the exchanges is not that complicated. With right?
Correct. Yeah, especially, every exchange already has Ethereum, right? So really, when it comes to the token, we're redeploying our token contracts onto Ethereum, or deploying the new ones, however the system works. And because these chains already have Ethereum running, to add a new ERC20 token is actually not that difficult compared to adding an entirely new blockchain, which they need to do for GoChain.
Okay, got it. That clarifies it.
No problem.
Awesome. Thanks.
Two-part question. The first is, have you guys explored the opportunity of working with universities as far as mascots?
We have.
And
just lost you there again, mate.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. This year's the first year they've implemented a new rule in college sports about, it's called the NIL. Excuse me, I just got finished running, so I'm out of breath. But in a sense, it allows college athletes to receive endorsements. So For example, the Alabama quarterback is set to make $1 million this year in endorsements. Master P's son, who's a college basketball player, is set to make $2 million. Would there ever be a situation where you guys would potentially partner up with a university or college athletes to create collectibles for them?
Yeah, there's definitely some potential there for sure. I was made aware of that new ruling a few months ago. I think it's pretty exciting for college sports, college athletes to be able to access that kind of funding. It's definitely been part of our conversation.
All right, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
No problem at all.
When it comes to secret rares, what are y'all's kind of like, I guess, rules for it? Like, I know, like we had I think someone said I wasn't around during the first secret rare, but someone said that like the first secret rare was like because of an accident, and then the second secret rare was like the rabbit drop, and then the third secret rare I think was for rarity. Is there any kind of like rhyme and reason, or is it kind of like all the secret rares is going to kind of be like a mystery type of how it drops?
Yeah, the general idea is that it's a mystery of some sort. The very first one was the Ghostbusters Toy Tokyo. I think that was the first one in the order. And that just happened to appear when the rest of the drop appeared. There was no chatter about it. There was no clock gate or anything at the time, so nobody sort of knew about anything ahead of time. The secret rare 2D comic cover art, the Ultraman one, was for people that were affected by a bug in that drop. Pretty sure it was that same one. So there was a bug that oversold the drop from memory or something like that. It was sort of in the really early stages when the load on the app was way more than we had anticipated. So that one was given out to affected users as a bit of a recompense from us, and a sorry and a thank you. But as to the other ones, I mean, the lucky one, that was just a complete surprise. I guess for most people, or it was available sort of 15 minutes before. But the idea is that those are either obtained outside of the system or dropped as a bit of a secret. Now I know we dropped a secret rare Spider-Man one, and everyone knew about it. But that one was just kind of, I think, to add to that collectability on that front. Alex, do you have anything to say on the secret rares moving forward?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I think they'll continue to be fluid. It really, at the end of the day, the secret rare is just the most rare. It's secret may be a misnomer in some instances. Obviously, we had a secret rare available with the rest of the drops, rest of the rarities for Spider-Man, for instance. I anticipate that being the case for drops of that caliber for Marvel moving forward or for other IP. But there will still be instances where it is an actual secret, Toy Tokyo or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, don't get tripped up on the word secret, because it's not an indicator of how it should be released. It's more of that it is the most rare.
Yeah. Well, I had one more question, and this one's for Trevor, but I just want to say with the secret rare, although I did not get a lucky secret rare, I do feel like that was the most fair, it was just I just literally woke up and everybody's talking about a golden rabbit, and I'm like, what? So that was cool, even though it sucked I didn't get it. But then, when the Spider-Man came out, then I was confused. I was like, wait, hold up. Maybe I was confused, but that's cool. Now for Trevor, is he here?
Yeah.
Okay. You posted something on your Twitter a while back. I think it was a couple of days ago, actually. And I think it was a retweet of someone else's. And I just want to say that I thought it was an awesome idea. With Veve and having even static NFTs and animated NFTs, and coming from League of Legends and things like that too, I actually really love the idea of the auto battler, because I just think of like, you can have like, a board, the VV board or something, and you're playing against a friend, and you have like all black and white series like Batman, and they all do certain cool stuff, and you can play against, I don't know, it's like someone else has different types of NFTs, and it's kind of like a chess game. I don't know. Or I guess my question is, since you posted that, do you think that could be something we can see in the future, or do you think that's too like of a massive kind of like project?
That's an interesting question. So I thought a little bit about that without going too much into, and I really, when I'm talking about this, I want to make it clear I'm not making any promises of us building this. I'm just talking about it. The reason I like the auto battler as a concept for NFTs is with the 3D assets that we have, it fits that genre. The 3D assets, with a lot of them, have fairly minimal like animation related into them. So from a content perspective, it's not the heaviest lift effectively to deliver like making those work in that auto battler thing. It's more a question of, can you build that system and build that gameplay system, which is not a trivial thing to do. They're a very complicated game to build. They're an extremely complicated game to balance. They're effectively like balancing a trading card game or anything else. Even Riot Games, which there's at that studio, there's 3,000 people work there. It took a team of 150 people 6 months to build their version of TFT, and that was working with all those 3D assets that they already have. So it's not a trivial game to build. Is it simpler than an MMO? Much, but it's still a really complicated game. It's something that I think would be pretty cool to see and would work. It wouldn't feel to me too contrived and like abstracted from the overall NFT collecting kind of experience. So I think that's kind of why I was musing about it, and it's kind of cool hearing everybody's like thoughts about it. And I'm happy to ramble about it more with anybody if they want.
Yeah, because like when I see like VV 10 years from now, like, I see it being like the number one NFT platform and all these like other great things. And, hopefully by that point in time, like AR is like a, more common thing, and that's more accessible to people. And like, I guess my perfect future, like VV, its current and maybe future gamification would be like having AR glasses on and like sitting across, the kitchen table with my brother, and we're playing auto battler, on the table with our VV NFT collectibles. I know, that's far, far down the line, but I just thought that was a cool idea. That was it.
As far as game pitches go using NFTs, it's actually like one of the more reasonable ones I've heard, to be honest. Like everybody was like, when Ready Player One, that is really, 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 really complicated to build. But an auto battler in AR is notably simpler. Still complicated, but it's a lot simpler.
You're talking about gaming, and I was wondering, do you guys see yourselves becoming more like PlayStation? Because when I think about gaming, I think it takes a lot of manpower to create games, and obviously Sony, they kind of just own game studios. So do you guys see yourself maybe starting out with really simple games that generate revenue and then scaling up to maybe owning studios that produce games in the metaverse?
That's a great question. I mean, I guess the concept is kind of similar, right? Like VV is a platform the same way that the PlayStation console would be a platform, and then you have all this functionality or optionality on top of it. I don't think that moving that heavily into the gaming arena is really part of the directive at this point. We're definitely more focused on creating this collectibles experience, with gaming to supplement that experience as opposed to become the primary focal point. But I mean, 10 years in the future, 15, who knows, right? Like, if we really have access to this IP and can build experiences around it in any sort of capacity like that, I mean, we are a technology company, and I think we'll continue to build to and adopt to those kind of technologies, especially if that's what's going to create the best user experience. I don't know that we'll rival.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll rival PlayStation or Sony on that front or anything, but who knows?
It's
Yeah.
also worth noting, like, those platforms, the platforms exist to serve content developers, but like PlayStation, like that thing, that's like the biggest, most, I mean, it's such a huge brand, but it's one of the biggest, most extreme versions of how you can build a platform. I think there's potentially, so people aren't here waiting a decade and a half for that kind of thing. There are things that might be nearer on the horizon that we could do to support developers in that sense. Again, not making promises here, but it's like there are ways that we could support people because there is a platform here, this content exists. There's like the interoperability implies it's connected to other things as well. When that happens, like there's ways there are steps we could take towards supporting people who want to create content related to the stuff that exists in Veve.
For sure,
the first steps towards that. But yeah, I think realistically, like Sony, to give you an idea how big PlayStation is, there's well over 10,000 people who work on PlayStation games and like the platform, and it's a truly a multi-billion-dollar exercise to support that platform every year. Like, and they've been doing it for 25, 30 years, and it's not just them, it's Microsoft and Nintendo, and then all the software platforms out there as well, like Steam. So to really break into that space, it's about finding the thing that's going to get developers exciting about coming to us and offering them something of value. And obviously having a big, deeply engaged community is a big thing that would drive that. So everybody keep doing that.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And to be honest, it was.
Well, you got to push that button, man.
Oh, sorry, I think I didn't hit the button, but I was just saying, I think it's really exciting to think about Veve as a platform that can attract developers. Like, we're talking about getting Street Fighter characters. Well, what if Veve was a big enough platform that Capcom wanted to develop their game in the Veveverse? That would be sick,
Agreed. I actually think that's what we'll see more of. Like if it's in the Veveverse or that kind of thing. I mean, you're offering branded content, but I mean, who better than the brands themselves to design and create that stuff? Who have the resources and the teams and the backlog of that kind of content already. Yeah,
for sure.
I'd love to see it go that way.
Yeah, us building a Street Fighter game would be cool, but it would never be as good as Capcom building a Street Fighter game that ties into Veve. So I'd rather support that version, which is also probably a lighter lift for us, to be honest. And it would lead to a better product overall, I think.
Oh my god, like I'm a marketer, by the way, so like I love thinking about the future and what's coming and stuff like that, and just this conversation getting me so excited because
suspense is killing me. We got because
right?
Yeah, we got you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so I think I keep not hitting the press to talk. Sorry. Yeah, it's just really exciting to hear that. Basically, was what I was saying. The more nearer term question that I wanted to ask was this fee that's coming in for the Marvel brand. Is that I kind of see it as a good thing because it's getting brands a taste of that recurring fee, right? And so it's getting them open to the idea of like releasing their IP into the wider world. Would you say that's accurate?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest draw cards of this industry of NFTs, of assets existing on smart contracts, is that ability to create a perpetual royalty, right? Which these manufacturers have never had before, because when you're selling physical pieces, the secondary market is a secondary market, right? They don't have a stake in it or a say in it or that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it's it's going to be one of the fundamental things that pushes the licensing aspect of this industry forward. And as Frank Kozik mentioned a couple of weeks ago, this really is the first opportunity. We have the opportunity to treat artists the way that they should be treated, right? To give those, like Marvel has a lot of money, right? They're a huge company, they're doing fine, right? But for your lesser known artists or those with lesser reach, like to be able to provide people like that an opportunity to, clip an ongoing ticket from these kind of things. I mean, I think that's a great step forward for everybody in the creative field, in the creative industry. And I expect it to motivate more licensors to enter the space.
For sure. I mean, just being in the Discord for a while, I keep telling people, like, there's a lot of fear, and I don't want to say FUD because it's a little bit warranted, but there's a little bit of fear / FUD about, oh, this brand is...
Lost you again, mate.
Sorry. Yeah, they say, like, oh, they're not going to let us take our collectible off app. And I say to them, it's a one-way street technology, even social media. Tons of brands were like, oh, we don't need that, we're not going to have that. But eventually, everything go on social media, and it's going to be the same way with NFTs. Maybe Marvel doesn't let us have the app, the NFT off app initially, but eventually they will.
That's exactly how we see it too, right? I think the whole industry continues to move that way. Now, where those assets can be sent also depends on the contracts that are underpinning them. Immutable has already announced that they will OpenSea will support Immutable's contracts and protocols, which is great for us. I really think that Immutable is going to be a powerhouse in as a protocol for NFTs, and looks to be one of the most interoperable that will be available. So all of those things fed into our decision to move to them as well. And if I get it, not all of these assets are going to be available to send off app day one, and that will continue to be a progressive journey based on a whole range of things. But longer term, if that same royalty is available to them regardless of the platform, then it really becomes a brand awareness thing for these licensors as well, right? If their content is now available on multiple platforms, and it's still benefiting everybody involved, then why wouldn't you make that choice? So I agree with you. I think that's where we're going.
For sure. I mean, if DC is, if Marvel is making a ton of money from having the collectibles out there and getting that recurring fee, DC is not going to sit back and be like, we're going to let them do it and we're not going to do it,
Exactly right. Yeah.
So my last question was just about when we do have that initial move to OpenSea and being more open, whether that's Marvel or the artists, how do you see VV NFTs contrasting and competing with the NFTs that are out there? Because a lot of the stuff out there is one of ones. It's generative projects, which is still high mint, but it's still got a bit more unique, versus VV collectibles that are let's say the same thing technically, apart from the mint number, but same model. So how do you see these things comparing? And I also noticed that you guys call your stuff digital collectibles. So was that shift in mentality from calling it an NFT to collectible? Because I believe everything will be an NFT and it will be kind of commonplace. So maybe I'm giving you guys too much credit, or maybe I'm spot on, but I'm thinking that you guys are thinking like 3 steps ahead and calling it premium collectible now, because in a few years, and NFT is going to be a commonplace. It's going to be like saying you have a photo online. It's like you can copy and paste.
Yeah. So I'll answer the second bit first. We always lent into digital collectibles because for the longest time, no one had any idea what an NFT was. So at least digital collectibles gave us some sort of grounding to explain that, right? Like in the last 6 months, NFTs have blown up and people use that acronym more synonymously with the industry now. But we never sort of foresaw that hitting and being so successful. And even now, if you try to explain to someone like, what's an NFT? So, well, a non-fungible token. And then you've got to go on this rabbit hole of a journey to explain how you can have a digital asset and it's unique and, all the bits. So we lent into that more from a ease of understanding, ease of use point of view. And I really think that digital collectibles will be, that term, even though it's used interchangeably with NFT, I think that will continue to be a much easier point of entrance to explain this to people than diving into the technical side of an NFT. So that's kind of where that came from. From an SEO point of view, I think we rank quite well for it as well. It's kind of good to nab those catchwords early, which we've been writing to now for 3 or 4 years, or I have. So there was definitely some motivation there as well, just to kind of claim those early rankings more than anything.
Nice. That's certainly a simpler explanation.
Yeah. I mean, like longer term, I do think digital collectible will be the term. Especially amongst collectors or whatever. But either way, we do use them interchangeably now, and try to claim both of those. Now, back to your original question about when things do open up, how do our collectibles compare? Personally, I think they shit all over everything else that's available. That is obviously my opinion, but the difference between what we offer and,
I love
it. Yeah. Maybe I'm a little confident there, but the differences between what we offer and what is available on OpenSea or that user-generated content, even though our model might be the same and the edition numbers grow, or that's the differentiator. It's because our products come with an established fan base. So the desire to own these items already exists, and we've obviously maintained that scarcity and rarity in light of the edition number being the differentiator. And we're really the only people doing it. There aren't many or any licensed collectibles on OpenSea, or not in the same capacity that we're kind of producing them. So, I really think that will continue to set us apart. You've got characters and collectibles that have value in the physical world already, and you're taking that and moving it to a medium that is new. You're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're not trying to create a new fan base or audience around new content. We're bringing content that people already know and love and already has an innate value to those people. So really, I expect them to continue to dominate and be successful on that front. But just to add to that, we are releasing one-of-ones. There will be more exclusive content than what's currently available. All of those things will also be a feature of Veve. So I guess when we enable interoperability there, they may perform differently too, based purely on a scarcity sort of level. But fundamentally, I just believe we're producing the best assets every week. The things we're putting out are leveling up. The animations are getting better. The technology is getting better. I think once all this has taken place, we'll continue to rise to the top.
So that's the video, my friends. If you made it this far, nice. Just nice. And if you learned something or found this video valuable, feel free to drop a like for your bromy to help me in the YouTube algorithms. So yeah, man, what else is there to say? A lot of interesting questions, a lot of interesting answers. And with that being said, I'm not a financial advisor. Nobody is in this video. And yeah, these are just thoughts and opinions being shared. So take everything that you hear with a grain of salt. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, peace out and hodl. Later.